Start your life. I think you're live.
Hi friends, it's Shirley and I'm here tonight in Elmsdale, Nova Scotia. For those of you who are joining us from away, thank you if you are in this evening to watch a little bit of a tutorial video on how to paint your own furniture. Now we're going to kind of give a few minutes for people to log in. It's 6:30 here on Atlantic Standard Time. And I know we do have Facebook followers from all over, which is really amazing to see, even some European customers following us as well. So tonight I'm going to talk about painting your own furniture. This is a little cabinet I'm going to paint tonight. And Krista, if you've been in the store here, Krista has been with me about 3 years, a little over 3 years. And Krista's my camera person tonight, so say hi, Krista.
Hi.
Chris is here to, if you have any questions, you can type down questions, and we'll try to answer them through the feed. If not, we'll get through and answer all the questions later on. So thank you for joining me. If you've been into the store, you know a little bit about us. Our store is filled with some really cool vintage pieces and also antique, and we love to paint, and that's how this whole thing started. So one of the paints that we sell here at Lily Pond Vintage is Country Chic paint. And Country Chic paint, if you haven't used it, is an amazing product. I've been painting, hate to age myself, but probably close to 30 years. I started painting, just really little pieces of furniture and around the home, wallpapering, stenciling when that was a big thing. Doing borders and stuff like that. So we're going to demonstrate, or I'm going to demonstrate tonight, how to use Country Chic paint products, and there's a lot of products here as well. So, Krista, do we have some people joining us?
We do. Polly Ann says hi to me, hi, and then we have Heather Putt says hello.
Hello, thank you again for joining us. So if you're joining us live tonight, one of the things I wanted to mention is that we're going to be painting this beautiful piece here is a little vintage cabinet in the color of the month. So Country Chic Paint started this last year, and I had spoke with Roseanne and the team about Color of the Month program, and we had started it with a little free furniture giveaway that we were doing, and so they're continuing with it, which is really great. Our color of the month for January is called Pop the Bubbly. So you can see it's kind of a beige color. It's a really great neutral. And so tonight, while you're watching live, comment in the section, what would you want to paint? If you were to paint a piece of furniture with Pop the Bubbly, what would you paint in this color? So just make a comment, like, what piece you would like to see done in your home with Pop the Bubbly. And tonight, before we finish up our live video, we're going to draw for this 16-ounce jar of paint. So someone's going to win a free jar of paint. If you're not local, we can mail it to you. So no worries if you're not a local participant or customer of ours, because we do also ship. So this is the prize tonight we're giving away, Pop the Bubbly. So if you want to do that, you certainly just, all you have to do is comment, what would you like to paint in this color? So Country Chic paint. We carry 56 colors. So there's 55 colors. These are our standard colors. Pop the Bubbly is in one of the newer colors in the Lustrium line. And this is our core colors of 35. So there's lots of colors here that are also bold and bright, but there's lots of wonderful neutrals. And we certainly paint lots of furniture in whites and off-whites and grays. Lazy Linen is gorgeous. Same with, there's so many gorgeous colors. Pebble Beach is really nice, medium gray. And our #1 color for us here at Lily Pond, and I believe it's the same with in the top 10 colors with Country Chic paint, is Vanilla Frosting. It's a warm, like winter white. And comparable in this Mustard Seed Milk paint that we also sell would be Farmhouse White. So it's a really great white. So tonight we're actually using this color here called Pop the Bubbly, and I'm going to talk about, and also paint while I'm talking, paint this little cabinet. So that's our colors. We also have a signature color that's only available with Lily Pond. and it is called Lawn Lily. It is a soft greenish, a little bit of a blue undertone. So think of like crystal clear water. That is only available in the shop, and we love that's our signature color, so we also stock that. So 56 colors in Country Chic Paint. If you drop in the store or buy paint from us, we can also send you. This is a little product guide. So for first-time painters of furniture, don't despair. There is steps and help and tools so that way you can get great results. This paint is made in Canada, and Roseanne and the team are wonderful to deal with. So the paint is available in 3 sizes. This little jar here is 4 ounces. It's $9.95. And typically, like a little piece of furniture like this, 2 coats is all it would take. So 4 ounces of paint, I could do this. Now, everybody paints differently. So, and it depends on what color we pick and what color we're covering. So sometimes this may not be quite enough. But this can do definitely a little chair, little table, 4 ounces for $10. Our next size up is 16 ounce. Now this is our most popular size, and this is $24.95. So for $25, this 16 ounces of paint, I can do a small cabinet. So behind me is a little china cabinet here. I can do that with one 16-ounce jar of paint. So it goes a long way. People are always surprised, they're like, is that it? That doesn't look like a lot of paint. But it has amazing coverage. And one of the properties of this paint, it's an all-in-one paint, is that it does adhere most times, like 90% of the time we don't have to sand or, a light hand sand. So this piece in front of us had a really heavy glossy varnish on it. And I'm going to show you in a second here. I did go through and lightly hand sand, and that's not removing the varnish. I don't want to remove varnish. I just want to scratch it up a bit so it gives this paint a little bit more to grab. This paint is ultra low VOCs or VOC free. It is low to no odor. I have sensitivities, and I find this doesn't have any smell. It's really great to use this, and you don't have to wait till you open the windows. Winter is actually the perfect time for painting. One, here in Atlantic Canada, the weather is not usually great. We get a lot of rain in the winter and snow, and so for us, the humidity is the lowest point in the house, so it's a really good time to paint. It means that your dry time, your cure time is a little bit faster. Dry to touch, this paint is 15 to 20 minutes, which means you're able to move it. If you have kids coming home from school, you can move your pieces very quickly, and 2 hours to recoat. So if you put on your first coat of paint, you only have to wait 2 hours for your second coat. So, that's pretty good. You don't have to wait like 4 hours and stuff like that. I always say to people, don't rush your projects though. You're never going to start a piece and finish a piece in a couple of hours, especially when you get into sealing, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So our next size up is a 32-ounce jar. So we went from the 4 to the 16. So 4, 16 to a 32. Now we don't stock all the colors in this size because there's lots of bright, bold, and colors like that. Not everybody is going to gravitate to that to paint their kitchen cupboards, for instance. So we stock our most popular colors in the 32s. This is $39.95, and this covers 100 square feet. So it actually goes a long ways. So again, depending on what color you're picking, whites are always the thinnest in all paints when it comes to pigmentation, meaning the coverage is thinner and always will take more coats. But other colors, I've done pieces with Bliss or Tropical Cocktail. Those are into like these colors here, and literally 1 to 1.5 coat, I call it, can do it. So lots of choices. That is the hard part sometimes, is picking the color. So I'm just going to move that aside. And I'm going to talk about, so when you're starting with your piece of furniture. So I'm going to walk around here. I know Chris is writing down everybody's names. So don't forget, you can win a free jar of paint tonight. All you have to do is enter by commenting what you would like to paint with. Pop the Bubbly is our color of the month tonight. So our little cabinet here, heavy varnish on it. And so we don't like to sand. It's our least favorite thing to do. It's messy, right? So one of the things when you start with a piece of furniture is that you want to inspect your piece and you want to make sure it's clean. You cannot paint over if you have a piece that you've had in your home for a while, or a piece you know, inherited from mom or grandma that has years of pledge or furniture wax on it. You need to get the oily product off. You know, it's kind of like a crayon. If you draw a picture with a crayon and paint over it, the picture magically appears. And because paint will not adhere to waxes. So you do have to make sure your piece is clean. So this is just varnish on it. But so you start out always wash your piece really well. You can use even a little kitchen Brillo pad to scrub your furniture down. You'd be surprised how dirty your furniture is when you think it's actually clean. We just use like Dawn dish soap and vinegar, or just vinegar and water. So that would be your first step. Now this piece is all washed just to save us time tonight. I've already washed this down and gave it a clean final rinse. So the piece is clean. That's always your step one. Then this hardware I didn't like. It was just little round wooden knobs. So remove your hardware. Don't try to paint around it. If I'm doing china cabinets, I always take my doors off. But for the sake of tonight, this little cabinet, I'm going to paint with them on. If I get paint on the hinges, if I don't want paint on the hinges, this paint after it dries, don't worry, it will wipe right off. So you can take it back. And that reminds me, I should probably mention, this is a chalk style paint. It's an all-in-one paint. It is an interior and exterior paint, which means that once it's cured, pieces can be outside. So because it acts like chalk style paint, it easily dissolves in water in the first few days. So we don't want to wash or scrub our piece down until it's cured. But also too, it makes it easy for us to do distressing. So we see a lot of furniture that has, you know, and here in the stores even it has distressed edges. So instead of doing that with sandpaper, you can easily do it with a damp cloth. So I'm going to get Chris to kind of wheel over this way. I'm going to show you this end here so you can see what I'm talking about. So we wash our piece first, make sure it's clean, a really good clean. And then because we don't like to sand, you know, that's kind of like a last step kind of result for us. So you should paint a patch of paint. So I did this yesterday. And what I did was I painted a little patch of the paint, let it dry at least 12 hours, if not 24. So 12 hours would be the minimum. Let it dry overnight. And then what you're going to do the next day is do a scratch test. Now, yes, I have nails that are, you know, now there's spots that it's not scratching off, but there was a couple of spots there you see when I scratch, it's going right down to the wood. That means that it's sliding off the original varnish that was glossy. Typically, if it's more of a matte or a flat finish, you don't notice it, and it actually adheres better. So with this one, because of that, I had to lightly hand sand. And again, it's not removing the varnish, it's scratching the varnish up. So hand sand, exactly. It's not get out with power tools. It's just, I buy these little blocks at any hardware store. A medium grit is about 120. It should be like 120, no more 150. You don't want to go to 60 or that low. It's very coarse. So that will scratch your furniture. So 120 is actually just a medium grit. And you're just going through and you're lightly sanding. So, and again, all it is scratching up the varnish. If you're doing a bunch of sanding, it's always good to have a mask on. You know, dust is particles that are irritants. I've already gone through and gave this a hand sand this afternoon, so it was ready for painting. The other thing you want to do, so we washed, we removed hardware, we gave it a hand sand if it did not pass the scratch test, and this one did not. And again, 90% of the time, we don't have to sand, which I love that about Country Chic paint. Unlike other brands that I've used, that doesn't deliver the same results. Country Chic paint has a built-in bonding primer, so it has the ability to adhere to most surfaces, which is amazing. This piece here it's a veneer, and a veneer, this is older. It's still 2 layers of wood, but it had a layer of maple that was glued onto a lesser grade of wood. And it was all chipped up and broken down here, as you can see. So this is all prepped and ready for painting. But I use with stuff like that is wood fill. You can use any brand. This is LePage's wood fill. Again, you can buy it at any hardware store. I use that, and you put it on with a little putty knife, let it dry, and once it's hard and dry, you just go through and sand. So again, sanding it smooth and wiping your dust off to make sure it's ready to paint. So really important, clean, do your prep work. If you don't want to have to get into sanding, do a test spot. If it scratches off, you have to sand. If it doesn't come off, you're good to paint the piece. So now this piece is ready to be painted.
A couple questions.
Sorry.
Okay, let me just scroll back up to them here. Pat Tenwold asked, can this paint be used to paint walnut wooden kitchen cabinets?
Yeah, so think of kitchen cabinets. We get asked this all the time. Pat, that's a good question. Kitchen cabinets and bathroom vanities are furniture, right? So solid oak, walnut, maple, any of those. Those are a lot of times just has a clear lacquer on it and the stain. You do want to make sure that the lacquer or varnish is intact. That means it's not worn off and you have any raw stain. If the varnish is very worn, you can prime it first. And I'm going to show you the primer that I tend to use, only because it's low VOC.
Goes into another question. Did you use the primer after the light sand, or is it required?
No. So with this piece, I'm not going to prime because my varnish is intact. If this piece was really worn in areas and I was worried about bleed through, then yes, I would prime. And we use a latex primer. This one dries fast. You're able to paint and recoat. It's water soluble and washable. And it is an interior-exterior primer. Mahogany pieces of furniture, you should always prime. Redwood furniture, you should prime because it is prone to bleed through. Like the redwoods, cherry wood, mahoganies, we do prime first, especially with light colors. Now, if I'm painting a cherry wood piece, a mahogany piece, and a lot of old furniture mahogany, if I'm painting a mahogany piece and I'm going a really dark color, like, black licorice or peacoat blue, I don't bother. Lighter colors, definitely. Kitchen cupboards, I can't stress enough. If your cupboards are 20 years old or 10 years old or 40 years old, that's 20, 30, whatever years of dirt and grime. There's a lot of grime on kitchen cupboards, so you really have to clean them well. There is products that you can use like TSP. I personally don't use TSP because I have lots of chemical sensitivities. So for me, it's good old, soap and water and vinegar. Vinegar actually can do a lot, but a Brillo pad would really get you in there to scrub it. So they have to be clean. If your varnish is not intact and it's worn off in areas, then yes, you can prime first and then paint them. But cabinetry, which, kitchen cabinets, bathroom cabinets, can be painted in this paint. We do recommend that it's sealed though, and so either tough coat or clear coat, they would have to be sealed. This is a flat matte paint, and when I start painting, you're going to see that. So our piece says, I'm just going to put this over here and grab our paint. So our piece is all ready to be painted, and this is the jar of paint. Now typically I don't paint out of the jars. I pour it in another little dish, but just for tonight I'm gonna do this because I didn't get a separate dish. So it has to be stirred or shaken really well, and I find this size, so this is a clay-based paint, and on the bottom it tends to be quite thick, and you want to stir that up. If you paint all the liquid portion to the top part of the jar, as you get down lower, it's going to get really, really thick. But it's a water-based product, so don't worry. If that happens, you can add more water to it. But it's better to make sure your paint is mixed, right? So for this size jar, I'm going to use a stir stick and make sure that is mixed all the way through. So just to kind of show you, this is a nice creamy paint. Now, Krista already shook this well for us, but I'm just giving it a stir to make sure there's no paint on the bottom, like no thicker paint on the bottom. So this is Pop the Bubbly. It's a really nice, beige. It has a little bit of a pink undertone with this. And I know our lighting here in the store is different than probably your natural lighting at home, but it's a really nice beige. So paint brushes. This is another really important aspect of painting. You cannot get amazing results or great results if you use a cheaper, lower quality brush. It's simple as that. Your job is only going to turn out as nice as the tools you use to get the job done, right? It's as simple as that. So with paintbrushes, these are by Country Chic. We do sell these and we sell other brushes in the store. This is one we recommend with Country Chic paint. It's a very soft synthetic brush. It has a lot of filament. It holds a lot of paint. And with that means you dip less. Also, you get a really nice coverage. Because this is a chalk style paint, it dries super fast. So we don't want to over brush. And this brush allows you to get like less brush strokes. Now keep in mind tonight, this is the first coat. And first coat, I always tell people, is the ugly coat. So, you know, second coats look so much better. So tonight, first coat is, and it doesn't have to be perfect, right? So this paint is easy to distress. It's easy to get drips and runs. And we're going to go through afterwards. We're going to do a second video maybe next week or the following week. We'll post it again. We're going to show you how to like add a glaze or a wax. You know, there's some detail in the front of this cabinet. So just to kind of show you how to finish it. So if you're, you know, it's a flat paint, right? And not everybody wants flat paint. I'm one to not waste any paint, so I'm going to grab paint off of the back of my lid there. But to show you, you should never dip your brush more than a quarter of the way in.
I can't see that.
Oh, sorry. Krista's going to adjust. Let me hold it up a little bit, Krista.
Yeah.
Never dip your brush more than a quarter way into your paint. And that's a fully loaded brush. And then what you do is kind of offload. So all that paint on your brush, you just kind of put it on. And then I'm going to go in and start and just kind of pull down and smooth it out. So I'm spreading out that paint. Now one of the things, because this is a chalk style paint, you don't want to put it on too heavy, because if you do, and I'll have to smooth this out a little bit more afterwards with the sand block. But if you put it on your paint too heavy, it's going to crack when it dries, right? And that's the clay, the chalk, the limestone, all those natural components to it. And you would normally, you know, you can start at the top and work your way down because it drips and runs. We never start at the bottom and work our way up. So I'm just going to go through, and you can see for one coat, my brush was lightly moist. It was not wet, it was just moist. And the other thing to prevent, so a lot of times when people are painting, you know, to get these like break lines. You see that there, Krista? So it's kind of like people push too hard. If you push really hard, you get this, and you don't want to see the break lines. So the trick is that let your brush do the work. Go very, very light swipes. And I'm just going one direction because this paint does dry fast, so we don't want to linger too long in one spot. I'm just getting that paint there.
I have a couple more questions.
Okay.
So if the cabinets are dark and you want to go lighter, do you suggest a primer?
Yes, I do. That will just cut down on your amount of paint. So if you have dark cabinets and you're going a white for your paint, it doesn't hurt to prime them first.
Okay, and then we have, if a table is sanded down to the wood, should it be primed first?
Yeah, so if you remove all the varnish, or if a piece is a new construction, you should always seal the wood first, because you're going to get, in all woods, and we know pine over years, like it yellows, right? And cherry wood gets darker with time and aging. So if you don't seal the wood first, you're going to get bleed through. And bleed through is where it's going to discolor. It's going to kind of yellow, or in mahoganies, it's going to turn pink on you, right? So wood needs to be sealed before painting. So that is on this one end. Try to I would paint my hair. So that is the one end done, and then like I'll go back. So legs, here's the other one with spindle legs. I still have a lot. You notice I only dip my brush twice, right? I still have a lot of paint. That's what I love about these brushes, is that they really do hold and load a lot of paint. This table is, or this little cabinet's not even up here. So again, you don't need to put globs and globs of paint. This is the first coat. You just want to make sure that everything's covered. And again, if you want to win a free jar of paint tonight, all you have to do is comment, what would you paint in this color? And this is called Pop the Bubbly. It's a really nice beige. And we're going to, when it's all done, which we can't finish it tonight because you can't seal a piece right away. You have to let it rest for a bit and make sure that the paint is dried out. We're going to be glazing it and using like an antique wax to bring out this detail. And we're going to put new hardware on this piece because I didn't like the little wooden knobs. So, going to move forward here. Again, just a little bit of paint, and you can see this is a nice coverage. This is first coat, a creamy paint, right?
Heather says that she painted her TV stand and it just glides on. She loves the paint.
Yeah, it's amazing paint, and you know, I've painted in lots of brands over the years. I mean, I do love Melt Paint too. It's, you know, I've been using Melt Paint for 30 years. So Melt Paint I do love, but not everybody loves Melt Paint because there's definitely a little bit more work with Melt Paint. Melt Paint does have to seal. This is optional. So little pieces like this, you don't have to seal it. You can just leave it as paint. And like I said, you can paint, oh gosh, you can paint furniture for outside because it is also an exterior paint, right? It's not just an interior paint. This was designed as a furniture paint, but we use it also for lamps and fabric. We stencil with it. Normally we teach classes. So why I'm doing this class tonight live is because we can't, right now, I don't feel it's safe to gather to do Facebook Lives, or sorry, live workshop. So we're doing it on Facebook instead. Just so that way people can see how easy it is to use this paint product. Let me step aside here.
Somebody asked what the brand of the brush is.
It is Country Chic. So these brushes we sell here. This is a 1.5 inch. This is a brush I use all the time. This brush is $22.95. It's guaranteed for 2 years not to lose filaments. So you're not going through and picking out fibers because there's nothing worse when you're painting and you have to go back through because you go, oh, there's like a little hair there. This does not lose filaments. So wash up is clean with soap and water. And the reason why brushes have holes, so you can hang your brush up. And as long as this brush is probably over a year old or maybe 2. We have some brushes we've been using for, well, almost 4 years now. So I can honestly say this is money well spent. Do not use your brush with any solvent-based products from the hardware store. It will destroy your brush. I found it the hard way. I did use it with wall paint and trim paint when we were doing a project at the cottage. I get so used to using these brushes. I love them. So I thought, oh, I can't paint with the other brushes. I went and got 2 of my Country Chic brushes, and it really hardened them, and it did not wear well. So keep your good paintbrush for this environmentally friendly paint. This paint too is certified safe for kids' toys, and so it's non-toxic, right? And right now, like, there's no odor with it. A lot of people who know me know that I suffer from multiple chemical sensitivities. I also have fibromyalgia, and so I had to stop painting for a while. And because of, you know, I think it's exposure to the products over the years, like stains. So I don't use solvent-based stains anymore. I'm not going to worry about getting paint on the hinges. I can wipe them off afterwards. So for stains, I actually use Miss Mustard Seed Melt Paint. You can use Melt Paint as a stain. You can also use antique wax to stain raw wood. So here on the door, and this is again my first coat, so I'm not too worried about it being perfect.
And you're using Country Chic brand paint. I saw somebody ask what's the brand of paint you're using.
Yes, so tonight I'm using Country Chic chalk style or clay-based paint. It's actually called a clay-based paint.
And if you're painting an outside door, would you just have to put Tough Coat on it as a sealer?
Yes, so we have a Tough Coat that you can use. You can also use Miss Mustard Seed's Tough Coat, which is a really matte finish. It's not Country Chic's. We also have a Clear Coat by Country Chic. It's an all-in-one polyurethane. Do recommend it for like tabletops, like a farmhouse kitchen tabletop, or a little kitchenette table. Even bathroom vanities you can do it, but it has a little bit of a sheen to it. And if you don't want any shine, then what I would suggest is that you use the matte finish by Miss Mustard Seed. So yes, we do recommend doors be sealed. And you see this piece, I didn't push the paint in. And if I were to use like a dark wax or glaze, that's kind of what would happen, is that it brings that detail. So you know it's kind of lost there a little bit. So we're going to go through and actually add some specialty products to this just to kind of bring it out. But I'm just going to push it in there to cover it in because I didn't want the black that was there. And again, first coat, I'm going to be painting the inside of this cabinet as well, but I'm going to be doing it in a different color. So don't forget, I usually do my doors front and backs, and but for tonight, this is not normally how I paint. I normally take my doors off. I just wanted to kind of show you so that I know we're under a time limit tonight, right? Because with Facebook Lives, you can only have an hour and a half, and of course that's a lot of time. You know, you guys have other things to do as well. So.
Jean wants to know if these paints are similar to Fusion brand paints.
So that's a good question. I used to paint in Fusion brand paint. I used Fusion for 2.5 years, for those of you who've been following me for a while. I started out with Lily Pond in 2015, so it's been 5 years. And in 2015, 16, and up until 17, until I opened the store here, I was using Fusion. Fusion is a high-grade acrylic paint. So acrylic paint has a whole different look than a chalk style paint. Acrylic paints have resin in it. And so because it has resin in it, it has a different look. Kind of like that melamine furniture paint you get at the hardware store. And you shouldn't go back and touch like I just did. Fusion is a great brand, but there's a little bit more prep work involved with Fusion. It doesn't adhere to most surfaces like this brand. So this brand, I find, is one certified safe for children's toys and stuff. Also, too, I find this doesn't really have an odor, where Fusion does have a little bit of odor. For me, it was a little bit problematic. Also, too, it just meant a little bit more prep work. So it's a different look of a flat chalk style, which is kind of what's trending, you know, with country and farmhouse furniture. Fusion paint is acrylic paint, right? So acrylic paint's not necessarily what you're going for. If you're looking for something that's got a higher shine and is acrylic paint, then I would say yes, then that's an option too. No, we do not sell Fusion paint. I switched to this brand because I felt that our clients would get better results with minimal prep work. This is also very durable. It does not chip or peel off. Sadly, if you don't prep well with Fusion, it actually, you can grab chips and pull it off in sheets. I have furniture in my home that needs to be redone. So I wanted to sell with confidence a brand of paint that would give amazing results. And I must say, you know, there's not, you know, when it comes to paint lines, there's some things we like better. You know, we might like this wax and this brand better. We might like this glaze and that brand better. There's not one paint line that's a be-all, end-all. That's why I sell both Country Chic Paint and Miss Mustard Seed. I think they complement each other really well. I think the results, if you follow my page, which you are here with us tonight, it's a look that we're trying to establish, and this paint allows that to happen. So again, it's in preference. I'm just going to move behind the table here so I can do that last little section over there. Any other questions there, Krista?
No, that was the last one. There's lots of people painting things, though.
Oh, yes. Wonderful. So, I have painted with Country Chic Paint. Oh, my goodness. So, we have done in the store lots of fun projects over the years. And if you've been to any of our workshops, you know that we have stenciled pillows, which is, you know, here behind us. We do sell stencils by Margaritaville. Love their stencils. They're washable, reusable, very high grade vinyl, so they last a long time. We've done pillows, and we use this paint. We use IOD stamps, and you can use the stamps with the inks. I love the inks for paper products, so like doing gift bags and tags, and also fabrics. But I find on the furniture, if I use the stamps, I love using the Country Chic paint. It's more forgiving in the sense that if I stamp something and I'm not happy with it, I can just wipe it right off. Like this paint, even though once it's dry to touch, and I'll show you, it dries to touch in 15 to 20 minutes. But once it's dry, if I want to go back and distress areas, I can do that as soon as it's dry to touch. Now for this piece, it's going to need a second coat. And that means we have to wait 2 hours. So we won't be finishing this piece tonight. But I will do another video, and I'll post it. So watch our events page. I will post it, and we will do a second live to show this piece done with a glaze and a wax. So for those of you who've gotten to, you know, the finishing part, if you don't have to, it's optional, but there is all kinds of really cool products. So metallic creams and glazes, waxes, and the waxes are tinted in different colors. So there's lots of products that you can have fun with. And like I said, you can use this paint with IOD stamps. You can use this paint on fabric, lampshades, lamp bases, cushions, chairs, upholstered chairs. You name it, you can paint it. It's always kind of fun to experiment.
Robin said that she painted a coffee table and used the sealer. She didn't specify whether it was clear coat or tough coat, but she found it a bit streaky and wonders if you have any tips.
So the clear coat and tough coat is a polyurethane finish, right? It's a water-based polyurethane, and it can be challenging at any brand. So whether you go to the hardware store and you get like Wood Shield or Minwax polyurethane, it's like using varnish. So tips. This is a game changer for big flat surfaces like a coffee table or a dining room table. Flat surfaces, this is wonderful for. So a clear coat, like a polyurethane, you want to go in one direction only. So if this was the top and I was sealing it, so I would dip it in my clear coat and I would start on one side and go straight across and lift and dip again, and keeping that wet edge, I would go again. When you get into back and forth motions, I never use a filament brush with polyurethane, like your clear coat or tough coat, because it will be streaky. If you use a foam brush or a foam applicator like this and go one direction only, you'll get better results. It's also important that it's very, very thin. So if you apply it too thick and keep brushing back and forth, it's trying to dry and you're disturbing it, you're going to make it streaky. I hope that helps. It is practice with polyurethanes. If you're using darker colors, so like a black or dark navy blue, our little trick is that we take, where is that little jar? Here. So this is a little 4-ounce jar of clear coat by Country Chic. And this I can do a 7-foot, actually the same size table that I'm working off of. This is a 7-foot table. It is 36 inches wide. I can do 3 coats on this table with this one little 4-ounce jar. If I'm painting dark colors, my little trick is take 1 teaspoon of your darker paint color and mix it in well into your clear coat. And then when you work with it, it lessens the chance of streaky, and also too, it keeps it the color that you want without, because sometimes this has a little bit of a shine, and if you're not looking for a shine, that's a trick you can do as well. So
I have 2 things here.
okay.
The replay of this will be posted on your page, right? Brenda wanted to know, she missed the first 30 minutes.
Yes, it will be.
And can you buy a starter kit of various colors in the small jars?
Yes, we do have a starter kit, and you get 3 jars of paint. You get a little wax. You get, this is a paint applicator. I use it for clear coat, but you can also use it for painting. I find it puts on really thin coats, so I like a brush better, but you can use that for sure. I'm just going to move around. And just so I can get this side here. So I'm almost done my first coat, and you can see I'm not worrying about it being perfect, because my second coat will get all the spots I missed. And so yes, clear coat is something that is optional. Coffee tables, end tables. If you have young children in the house, children's furniture, you may want to put a polyurethane clear coat. So when you go to use a product like this, clear coat or tough coat, you want to let your piece dry for a minimum of 48 hours before you use it. Give your paint time, even though, like over here, this is dry to touch now. Just because it's dry to touch doesn't mean it's like ready to seal. And we don't want to seal any moisture in your piece. So if you want lasting results, you need to give it a rest. Let it sit for 24 to 48 hours before you seal it. I usually wait 48 hours myself. Give it 2 days. And then you can clear coat it or wax it, whatever you want to do with it. But don't do it right away, because if you seal in moisture, what's going to happen is that it's going to haze on you, which means it's going to go cloudy. You won't probably notice it on a color like this, but you're definitely going to notice it in a dark color. So I'm just checking, getting a couple of spots I missed. And it's hard to paint like this so that I don't have my back to you guys. But Chris is going to be back in a second. She's just helping a customer. We're actually open this evening. So I think overall, you know, this is first coat. And like I said, this is all dry to touch, right? So, except for that patch on the end there where I had put a coat earlier. So that's still drying there. But, so, once I have my first coat on, I want to leave it. I'm not sure about the top. I might leave it like painted a different color. So that's why I didn't do the top. I am going to end up doing the inside. And again, I'm doing the inside a different color. So there, I'm just getting that edge down the bottom here of this leg that I missed. And sometimes too with furniture, like, you know, if you can put it up on a table versus, you know, laying on a floor to paint, especially chairs, don't paint them on the floor, put them up so you can work on them. And we just put a plastic drop sheet. So with this guy, I'm going to, because I don't want my paint drying out too long, I'm going to recap it. Now, paintbrushes, so if you're waiting to put a second coat on, you have to wait 2 hours. So the best thing to do, because I don't want to wash, if you only have one paintbrush and you don't want to wash your brush, take a Ziploc baggie and drop your paintbrush in it. Squeeze it all the air. That's really important. Don't leave it in a baggie with a bunch of air in it. So just roll it up and then Ziploc it. And that way, when you are ready to do your second coat, you can go back to your same brush. So this works out well if you're doing like multiple colors or a couple of pieces. So this brush I can go back to tomorrow and finish my piece if I want to. So I'm just going to bag that one. If not, then make sure that you drop your brush into a little bucket of water. Don't let your brush dry out because that with the paint on it is not good. The other thing is your jars, how to get the lids back off. Make sure you wipe your edges of your jars and then get off any excess paint. The little jars, normally this size, so I want to show you this if I can. That was one coat, and this is why I said like this 4-ounce jar, I could have painted this piece. That's not even an eighth of the jar gone. It is a lot of paint. 16 ounces for $25 goes a long ways. I would be able to probably do 3 pieces this size with this one jar of paint. So wipe your excess paint off. Normally, like wash out your lid before you recap it. Another trick, if you have carpal tunnel or arthritis in your hands, put a piece of like ceramic wrap or plastic wrap before you put your lid on. It will help you get your lid off. So, because I know if you leave a bunch of paint inside your lid and you put it on, it's going to be really hard to get your lid back off. So,
what do you use to seal raw wood? Debbie would like to know.
So raw wood can be sealed with a couple of things. Clear shellac, because this stuff sticks to shellac, right? So you can seal raw wood with clear shellac or any furniture. So if you have, you know, an older piece of furniture that's mahogany, which is a redwood, and you're worried that the finish is really worn thin in areas and you're going to get bleed through, you can seal it with clear shellac. So make sure it's clear, not that orange-based shellac. Or you can always seal it in something like this as well. So Bullseye 123 is a latex primer, low VOC, and dries quickly. You can use that as well. So and I can see some spots I missed, but I'll go back and get them afterwards. So like I said, this is dry to touch now, and this is only one coat, so I'm going to go through and put a second coat on, and I can clean up areas. So if I'm working on mirrors, I don't bother taping anymore, because one of the things, the chalk style paint, what does chalk do when it's in water? Chalk dissolves, right? So this paint, you have up to about 4 or 5 days to keep working on it or manipulating it, which means that if I paint a mirror and I get paint all over the mirror part, I can, after the paint's dry, I can take a damp cloth, and we use these in classes, and all you do is you just go through and start wiping. The paint isn't cured, and so cured is hardening of the paint. So because it's not cured yet, we can go in and we can clean up glass edge lines, like in cabinetry. I lost my camera person for a minute. But like on, around china cabinets, for instance, the glass panels. If you can't take the glass out, then it's so easy just to go through and afterwards just clean it up if you want to. Or you can tape it, but tape can, take time. The other thing is, if I want to distress this piece, I have a couple of options. I can use, so after it's all done, a lot of times our signature pieces have all distress edges. So if this was completely 2 coats, which I can't tonight because we have to wait 2 hours, to distress a piece, you can, after the paint is dry, just start going through and wiping. And you see the paint, we just are reactivating it, and we're distressing it. Now this is going to end up with 2 coats on it. And this is how you would do with layered paint colors as well, right? But all I'm doing is going through and activating the paint, and normally distressing, so I'll do a little bit of distressing on this, even though it doesn't have its second coat yet, because I'll just slap another coat on. Normally distressing a furniture, when we're doing like that farmhouse style furniture, is that we go through where natural wear and tear would happen, right? So legs, edges of furniture, it's where furniture would normally get bumped and banged over the years, or a lot of times where handles are, right? Where natural wear is going to happen. That's what distressing is. Now, some people don't like distressing. They think, oh, it looks like it needs to be painted. That's okay too. If you want it solid, you can do it solid. But that's what I love about this paint. And also too, I'm just going to tell you a little difference about using Fusion and this. So anybody out there's used Fusion knows that if you get Fusion paint on your hands, it does not come out like that. This stuff cleans up easily. We have towel in the store on the floor. If we get paint on the floor, even after it's dry, we can just wipe it up. You have only a couple days to do that. Once the paint is dried and cured, cure time for paint is hardening state, and any brands of paint, including Fusion, takes 21 days to get to the hardened state. And that means the paint is at its durability. The longer I find this paint sits, the more durable it becomes. We have china cabinets here in the shop that's been painted, some of them, I guess, 2.5 years, and some only a year. We are sanitizing with COVID everything multiple times a day. And I mean, we're using peroxide-based and cleaners. And so with that, I mean, this paint is holding up extremely well. So is it durable? Yes. Can you paint kitchen cabinets and bath and vanities? Yes. Can you paint, fabric with it, like upholstered headboards and all that? Yes. So what I want to show tonight for everybody was that how easy this paint is to use. We stock all 56 colors. Join us next week or the following week, and what we'll end up doing is we'll finish this little piece off together so you can see how to use some of our other products. And I'll just kind of show you some options here. So clear coat, we talked about that. And so just to show you an example, these are little sample boards, and this is P-Coat. How are we doing for time, Krista? Okay. Good? Okay. So normally an intro to furniture class, just to let you know if you haven't taken one with us before, is a 4-hour long class. So I put down an hour and a half because I wanted to kind of give some basic information to let people know that yes, you can do this. This is easy paint to work with. And I think a lot of times people are afraid they're going to ruin the furniture, and I'm here to tell you it's just paint, and you're not going to ruin your furniture, right? If you don't like it, you can put another color over it. You can even, so at this point, if I didn't like it, you saw how it dissolves in water. I mean, I have to scrub a little bit in some spots, but if I didn't like that right now, it's not ruined. I could just wash it off because it's not cured. And it's not even past the 5 days of drying, right? So right now it's freshly painted, and you saw how I could easily distress it. But you can still do that distressing up to, about 5 days. After that, you're gonna have to kind of get in there a little bit. So clear coat, that's that polyurethane we were talking about. It's not necessary, but you can use it for high traffic areas. This is it on Pea Coat. This is Pea Coat Blue. And this has been distressed a little bit too, because they're just on pine little sample boards. But there's a little bit of shine with clear coat. Not a lot, but a little bit. But that gives you that extra durability. Kitchen cabinets, dining room tables, coffee tables, children's furniture, definitely want to put a polyurethane just to give it more wipeability and all that kind of stuff. Pieces like this in a hallway or anywhere in the house is not going to get the wear and tear. A coffee table is with coffee cups and stuff like that. Furniture should always be used with coasters, and I know we probably all have that person in our household who doesn't use coasters, but coasters are important for all furniture. And there's no varnish out there, even if you buy manufactured furniture, that's going to stop a water ring from happening from a water bottle that's sitting there sweating in the summertime. It leaves white rings, right? So we shouldn't treat our furniture like that. So it's no different if you paint it or put a polyurethane on it. It's not going to stop that. It's going to help prevent it. But if it's left there long enough, it will damage it. So this is clear coat on a blue. This is clear coat over. This is layered. So when we talk about layering colors, this is a little pine board again. Painted this one vanilla frosting, which is an off-white, and then with cobblestone gray, and then distressed it. So, if you're going for that kind of like beachy or farmhouse look, you can do that easily. And again, just done with a wet cloth. So clear coat is an option for sealing. Don't have any waxes here. Krista, can you just grab a can of wax? Sure. So we also have waxes that you can use. Now, I find the waxes don't add a lot of protection. Not in the Country Chic line. They're more of a decorative wax, so they can enhance details, right? They can bring out details. And the wax, thank you, Krista. So the waxes come in, so this is, Krista has a can of Antiquing wax here. Antiquing wax is a really dark brown wax, and that's what I'll use to kind of bring out detail areas. And I find whenever I use dark waxes, I tend to use clear wax first on light colors, just so that I have more. If I make any errors, I can fix. Also, it comes in 3 sizes. So we have the bigger can, which is 8 ounces, and we have 4 ounces, and I believe this is like 1.5. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't read it. It's 2 ounces, thank you, and a 2-ounce jar. And so this little tin of wax goes a long ways because you don't use a whole lot. And this is a firm wax, and it gives light protection. So waxes, we do have waxes that come in different colors. Metallic creams, and they come in also different colors. This is a very thick, pasty product. And metallic creams, we have another piece out in the store, and I've shown pictures of it before. It's painted in a green, and then we took the gold. I use the metallic creams a lot to refresh hardware. Also, too, if we wanted to do like a metallic leg, we can do a dry brush technique or make them solid. This stuff is really fun to use. It's $16.95. This is a 4-ounce jar. I'm going to tell you, I have a jar here that's been on the go for 3 years, and we're still using it. The product goes a long ways. So that's the metallic creams, and they come in silver. This was a really fun color too, copper penny. Copper is a really cool color to use. So there's metallic creams, there's glazes. I use glazes a lot. Love glazes on furniture. It kind of is like using an antique wax to give age or patina back into a piece of furniture, but it's permanent, right? Waxes take maintenance, meaning that you have to occasionally reapply the wax. This you don't. Once it dries, and that's another class, right? So there's lots of specialty products. And painting front doors, someone asked about that. This past summer, whoop-de-doo, we moved furniture around, so sorry. Whoop-de-doo is the most stunning color. front doors. We had so many people paint their front doors. So because this is a dry, flat, matte paint for a front door, I would suggest their last coat lightly sanding it or put a sealant on it. So that way dirt doesn't collect to it. But I know our employee Sarah painted her front door, I think, in Whoop-de-Doo. I know she did a yellow door and a Whoop-de-Doo. She's got pets at home, some dogs and stuff, and she said it's been holding up really well. She loves it. So yes, you can paint your front door with it. Obviously, we don't want to paint exterior this time of year. It's winter. And also, too, we don't want to paint when the temperature at night just below 10 degrees Celsius. That's important. You can't paint when it's 15 degrees in the day but goes down to 5 degrees at night. It has to stay above 10 degrees. We have to give paint the time for it to do its job, that is, A, adhere to the surface, but also to cure, right? Get to its hardened state so you get lasting results. Any other questions there, Krista?
Yes, I have a couple here.
Okay.
Jean, I saw one from Jean wants to know if a wood chair already has fusion paint on it, can you repaint it with the country?
Yes, absolutely. So fusion paint is, like I said, it's a high-grade acrylic, but it is a water-based product. So it does clean up with soap and water. And because you're painting a water-based product over another water-based product, you're absolutely fine to paint over it. Now, if it's chipping off, if your original finish didn't adhere well, then you do have to do some sanding to make sure your piece is free of any chippy spots. So say that this piece was varnished, right? So I did a light hand sand, but if this was a previously painted piece and it had any spots that was chipping or flaking, then I was just like looking at the piece behind Krista there. Like, that is a chippy goodness piece, and maybe we'll swing around and show you in a second. If you paint over something that has a lot of surface damage, it's still going to show, right? Because paint is going to show all those blemishes. So if you want it smooth and you're not going for that rustic look, which I love, then you want to sand it a little bit. But yes, you can paint over other latex products. If you have a piece that's in oil paint, however, and I mean, most people haven't used oil paints in 30 years, but there is older pieces, and we get older pieces of furniture with it. And all that requires is a sanding, or you can use primer on it. We tend to just sand it a little bit to rough up that surface. We do a test spot, so remember, paint a little test spot, do the scratch test. If that doesn't work, we also have, you can use that kind of primer, or we also have a bonding agent primer as well. And that helps it to adhere to surfaces that, is like non-porous is the word I'm trying to think about, right? So like painting on glass. I mean, this stuff does not like to stick to glass, so we use a bonding agent. And Krista, could you grab a bottle? I wanted to show, and I know we're talking about paint with Country Chic paint, but remember, we carry 2 lines of paint, right? So because of that, there's times that there's some products that interchangeable. That's the best way to put it. So Miss Mustard Seed produces this line. And so the manufacturer of Miss Mustard Seed products is actually Homestead Paint out of Toronto. And they've been producing paint products for 35 years, I believe, and I've been familiar with their paints like from the beginning, when I started painting. So this is a product that I really like, and it is a milk paint bonding agent. Now with milk paint, we mix it in the milk paint to have it adhere to non-porous surfaces like glass. But we can also use this in a very thin coat, paint on something that is like ceramics and stuff like that first, and then put the Country Chic paint over it if you don't want to use milk paint. So we do use this, and we also use this in place of like Mod Podge. So people are getting into like decoupage papers and all that, you can use this with it. Very cool product. When we were talking about paintbrushes and cleaning, we have an amazing brush soap. We sell 2 different types. This one is by Country Chic Paint. It is a liquid. It is $14.95 for the bottle, and you don't have to wash your brush in it all the time, but it is I'm going to say a lifesaver if you forgot to wash your wax brush and your wax brush has gone hard. It has peppermint oil in it, and it really helps restore the filaments in your brush and break down like waxes on a wax brush, not a paintbrush, and also break down paint residue. So it gets your brush nice and clean. So we do have, besides the paints, especially products, we also have brushes. We sell a couple different sizes. This is our most popular, is what we sell the most of and what we recommend. And then we have other products too. Hemp oil. There's lots of product. I wanted to show you, and if you've been in the store, you've seen this. And I know you're probably going to see your mess if I do this, but we're going to turn the camera around just for a second. We'll just swing around. And I'm going to show you this little dresser here. So this dresser is mid-1800s. I love antiques, by the way. But this is a piece that it was originally stained a dark stain. And the reason why I want to show you this is because sometimes we have pieces of furniture that look like this. Now, I love chippy goodness, so this is a piece I want to keep as is. It was in a farmhouse that wasn't heated, and so the paint freezes and shrinks and cracks and also flakes. So this piece, if I were to paint this again, I'd want to get rid of any of the flaking paint. You want to make sure that that's gone, because otherwise you're still going to see it. So this is a good example of when you do have to do a little bit more prep work with a piece. I could stand it, make sure there's nothing loose or flaking. And, you know, these are bad paint jobs from, you know, probably the 50s or earlier. There's drips and runs of paint. All those things should be cleaned up first. So there is times that we have to do a little bit more prep work. And I just took, this had, the mirror was broken, so I added a piece of Meranti and made it into a little chalkboard. So how fun is that, right? So old mirrors, you know, the glass is gone. This would make, it's not for sale. This would make a really cool coffee station, right? So you could use it for a coffee station, put your cutlery or, you know, linens in, like napkins, stuff like that. And, you know, write a little message on the board. So always think outside of the box. There's so much that we can do. I love the colors that are peeking through from years of just, you know, shedding or whatever. But again, if I were to repaint this piece, I would do a little bit more prep work, sanding. One, wash it really well, sand it, make sure there's no rough spots, make sure it's smooth, and then give it a primer before I paint it. Most likely some of this old paint is oil-based paint, and the primer will, in that case, help with that transition, because you can't paint a latex product over oil, right? Oil and water don't mix. They like to bead and separate. So not any different for paints. You have to do something to get it ready for water-based paint. So we're going to turn back around this way. As Krista kind of moves around a little bit there. We're on a little rolly cart tonight, so we can kind of show off our paint. So
I do have one question going back to the waxes. Sharon wants to know, is there another product you could use on dark colors to seal it instead of using the top coat so you don't see the streaks?
Yeah, so when I use licorice black and country sheet paint, that's our true black. I'm going to say of all chalk style paints, I would say our licorice is like our really true black. But because it is a flat paint, it tends to look not the true color of black. It tends to look like a really dark charcoal as a flat paint or matte paint. So I like using black wax. So country sheet paint, so we talked about waxes, they do have a black wax, and it's stunning over black, you know, black colors or really dark blue. It just kind of gives a little light protection. And, you know, if you wanted the protection of clear coat, let's say you did that, or a tough coat, and you're not happy with how it's looking because you feel like it looks streaky, use the dark wax over it, and that will hide that as well. The other thing is you could always put another coat of paint over it, right? The polyurethane that you have in there will give the extra protection that you required. But you know, kitchen cupboards I wouldn't wax, so I would say maybe, you know, put another coat of paint on it, and that will hide, you know, the streakiness that you're not happy with. The other choice is try it again, put another thin coat of, you know, if you find it's too shiny or too streaky. Tough coat, you know, is very matte, so you could put another thin coat. The key is when working with polyurethanes, it has to be thin, right? So you see in the jar the sediment on the bottom, and it tends to be like a creamy yellow. So there's no yellowing agent in clear coat. It is crystal clear. But a couple of things with polyurethanes, if you don't blend or mix them well, you're going to get glossy to the top. Your matte component is going to settle to the bottom, right? Now this one is a kind of a semi-gloss, but in Tough Coat with Miss Mustard Seed, for instance, which comes in a jar like this, if you don't mix it well, what happens is you get glossy up here and then it's matte down here. The product should be a matte finish all the way through. So, you know, we don't want to shake a polyurethane and create bubbles. You don't want bubbles in your finish. So what you should do was to mix it with jars like this, for instance, we just roll it, right? We're rolling to mix it so that all the agents in it are equally distributed. Otherwise, your finish is going to be uneven. So mixing the product is really important. Same with the paint, right? Now the paint is okay to shake. You can shake these little jars. We usually just shake them to mix them. And a lot of times you can see like a clear liquid come to the top. It's a water-based product, right? And that's there to protect all the pigmentation and clay at the bottom. This paint is best stored at room temperature. So, you know, if you have it out in the garage and your garage isn't heated, if you want your paint to last longer, bring it in the house. It should be stored at room temperature, not in freezing cold. It can freeze. We've had paint freeze solid. Had an order that was delivered to my house and left on my doorstep in the middle of winter for 4 days. I kind of panicked, called Country Chic Paint. It was frozen solid, and they're like, it's okay, bring it in, let it thaw out. I let it thaw for a couple of days, and then it was fine. So that's another amazing thing about this. Should it freeze, most paints we know if it freezes, especially latex paint, it's usually destroyed, right? Well, this paint can freeze and thaw, and it's fine. Products, however, like polyurethanes can't freeze. So even if you pick up some, don't leave it in your car this time of year and let it roll around the back seat. You're going to damage the product. Bring it in after buying it. Take it home and bring it indoors. So, any more questions?
Yes. Jean wants to know where we're located. Are we in the strip mall?
Yeah, so we're actually we moved the 1st of June, so we've been here, what, 9 months? Gosh, it's going really quickly. We're in Elmsdale still, so we used to be on Highway 214, so we moved to a new location. We're kind of literally around the corner. We're a kilometer and a half from our old location. We're at 589 Highway 2 now. So Highway 2 is the old Halifax, the road from Halifax that goes all the way to Truro. So we're on that stretch. We are in Elmsdale. A lot of people think we're kind of Enfield. We're kind of in between. We're on the highway and we're in a strip mall or a little plaza. There's 2 strip plazas. There's us and then there's the next one. And the next one has like the Sweet Spot chocolate shop. You should shop there. Love Nancy and Greg's products. The Sweet Spot's the next little strip mall. The mall that we're in has like Elmsdale Pizza beside us, has Jerry's Hair Salon, there's a chiropractor and a wine shop. We're in that little plaza. Lots of parking, easy to get in and out of, and our space is bigger than our last location. We actually have a back room. This is normally, now we have product in here right now, but normally this is where we would do workshops, and we didn't have that ability to paint even furniture in our last location because it was so small. So this gives us more storefront. So it's been a good move for us.
Rosalind has an outdoor bench, wooden slats with wrought iron sides. Can she use the paint on the iron as well?
Yes, you can. So key, make sure it's clean. I paint a lot of times old hardware as well. So a lot of the old brass pulls and stuff like that, and just make sure that they're clean, right? So yes, you can paint metal with this. I find that this paint does adhere well to most surfaces. And keep in mind, like when we do scratch tests, right, that, and this isn't scratching off because I did a little hand sand. But even with wrought iron, we sell cup pulls and hardware in the store that is cast iron or wrought iron, and we paint it all the time. And the reason why we carry those particular cup pulls, for instance, for hardware, is because then we can customize it to any color, and we use Country Chic paint. Hi, so I don't think there's any more questions tonight. So if you haven't commented and you want to win a 16-ounce jar of paint, what would you paint in this color? So this is only 1 coat, so it's a very light kind of beige. As it's similar to our Sunday tea, but Sunday tea has a little bit of a gray undertone. When we come back in about a week or so, I'll post again another event. We're going to finish this piece off, and I will show you, for those people who had questions about using glazes and waxes, we're going to use a glaze and then a wax on this piece, so that way you can get to see some specialty products that we sell as well and how they work. So we have not anything left to do. If no one has any more questions, I'm so glad that you guys decided to join us tonight. And I thank Krista for being my camera girl. Is that, you know, this is such an easy product to work with to get great results. And again, this is why I sell this brand of paint. I don't want to sell a brand of paint I can't get behind and I can't endorse and don't love. I don't want to give you guys false hopes that, you know, they're claiming it does this and it doesn't. I can tell you that this is probably one of the better products I have used in many, many years. Like, I'm thrilled with it. I'm so happy that I picked up Country Chic paint. You know, I discovered these guys off of the Dragon's Den, just to let you know. So I think it's probably been 7 years ago. They were on the Dragon, or maybe it's 5.5 years ago. They were on the Dragon's Den, and Roseanne and her husband Jan were picked up by the Dragons, and you know, now, of course, COVID, I don't know, but I think we were at over 539 retailers in North America. I mean, the paint speaks for itself. If you use it and try it, it has a nice consistency. Keep in mind, my first coat is an ugly coat, and also, you know, kind of paint it fast. But when you see this piece done, you're going to see how amazing it is, and we hope that you'll give it a try. One of the things I will let you know, I'm way excited. We're working on an online store for our paint products and our DIY products. When our goal this year is to get totally switched over. It's going to be a square platform. So that will come soon, and you'll be able to order directly through our Facebook or Instagram site. So you can put in your paint order. If you want it shipped to you, we can ship it to you. Or also you can arrange curbside pickup. Right now we're allowing people in the store. Nova Scotia has changed the capacity. We're allowed up to 50% of our normal occupancy. So where before it was 25. So we're doing amazingly well here in Nova Scotia. Thank you to everybody who has been, you know, I don't have my mask on for the event right now, but, you know, wearing their mask and using hand sanitizer and, you know, every little bit we can do so we can stay open. And as a small business, it's so important that we're able to continue to do what we love. And thank you for the support. So the one last thing we're going to do, we're going to draw for the free paint. I'm going to announce it live. So if you're still listening and you're the winner tonight, you have an option to pick it up. But if you're not local, we can ship it to you. So Krista, are we ready to draw a winner?
Yes, there is one more comment.
Okay.
Rosalind said that she's hoping that you stain the top of that piece and do a Facebook class on that.
Oh, yeah, and you know, with stains, I actually use either glazes. I don't use stain as such. When we think of stains, they're solvent-based products, right? And I don't use solvent-based products in that sense. I can't handle it. I can't do the odor because I have sensitivities. But couple of classes, yeah. So before Christmas, we did some beautiful pieces. And we did that kind of like driftwood beachy top. That is something I can show you how to do. And we did that with glazes. So we did it with Country Chic, and we did it with glazes. And that's a really nice look. And I know it's trending right now on Pinterest. And definitely could do that. We could sand the top back to raw wood and show you how to do that with glaze. That's a good suggestion. Thank you. When we want to use stain, we use milk paint. So milk paint is a powdered paint, and I have it back here actually. So milk paint, Miss Mustard Milk Paint, is a powdered form paint. This one we're going to paint a dresser over there in. And so you mix it with water. And because it's powder, we get to control how much water we add. So to make a stain, we mix this in a ratio of 1 part paint, 3 parts water. Simple, right? 1 cup of powder paint, 3 cups of equal like water. And we mix them up in mason jars. So when it's mixed thin like that, it's very runny and it will absorb into raw wood. Milk paint is amazing as a stain, by the way. Our cash counter is done with it. When I do tabletops, I use milk paint. And that's why, you know, again, sell 2 lines of brands of paint, because There's some things, like I can get chippy goodness with mouth paint. I can't with a chalk style paint. It wants to stick to everything. This, you can force chip. I need a stain. I can use this as a stain. So we use a lot of the products, you know, depending on what the client wants, or for us, what we're looking to do as well. So that's a good suggestion, and maybe we'll do that. We'll sand the top back and either use melt paint, show you how to use melt paint as a stain, or do it in glazes. Okay, so we're going to announce the winner of the paint. So I'm going to pick a random number between 1 and, let's say,
90.
1 and 90. Wow, we have 90 people comment. Wow, that's
A
amazing.
lot more comments than that. This is just the.
Oh, a lot more comments than that. But then 90 people kind of said what they like to paint with this beautiful color, Pop the Bubbly. And again, you can totally change the look of the color by adding waxes and glazes, all kinds of fun stuff. So between 1 and 90, I'm going to say 34. It's the number that pops in my head. So number 34 is
Cynthia McKenzie.
Cynthia McKenzie. Congratulations. You have won a 16-ounce jar of Pop the Bubbly tonight. So I just want to again thank everybody for joining us. I hope that you were able to take some information away. If you drop into the store, you want to order paint, order with us. Right now our online store isn't up and running, but you can send us a message in Messenger or call the shop, and it's just an easy e-transfer. We pack your order and we can send it out to you. We can do curbside pickup if you're concerned about coming in the store. I know that some people have high risk family members and they're really not going shopping. I understand that. We can do curbside pickup, or you can come in. We can have your order ready for you. Just pick it up at the cash counter. If you want to pay like credit card, you can just tap and go. So lots of easy ways to get your order. And you know, if you're first time using the product, let us know, and we'll include that pamphlet with some instructions as well. This video will be posted afterwards, so you can go back and look at it again. Also too, on YouTube, if you go Lily Pond Vintage on YouTube, I did some videos for Country Chic Paint a while ago, and there is one there on painting kitchen cupboards. There's one there on using glazes. So there's videos posted there on YouTube, and I encourage you to go back and look at them. It gives you the confidence so you can use this product. You don't need to wait for classes to come in. I love teaching classes. Unfortunately, right now, we just can't do it with trying to keep 6 feet away from everybody. People want help hands-on. And so this is the way that we're going to teach right now. So thank you very much. And again, Cynthia
McKenzie.
McKenzie?
Yeah.
Cynthia McKenzie, you are the winner of the paint tonight. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.